What if the struggle you're going through right now is not a punishment, but a test? What if the silence, the delay, the confusion is actually God developing something deeper in you? Because here's the truth most people don't realize. Not every hardship means God has left you. Sometimes it means He's working on you. And the hard part is, tests don't feel like blessings when you're in them. They feel like pressure. They feel like waiting. They feel like nothing is happening. But what if something is happening, just not in the way you expected? In this video, we're going to talk about 5 clear signs God is testing your faith, so you don't give up in the middle of something God is using to grow you.
1. You're being asked to wait longer than you expected.
One of the clearest signs your faith is being tested is when God makes you wait. You prayed, you believed, you trusted. But the answer didn't come. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months. And now you're wondering, did God forget about me? But here's what you need to understand. Waiting is not God's delay, it's God's development. Isaiah 40:31 says, "But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength." Notice that. Renewed strength comes in the waiting. Because waiting stretches your faith. It teaches you to trust God's timing, not your own. This verse promises that those who put their hope and trust in God will be renewed with strength. Even when you feel tired or worn out, God can lift you up and keep you going. When you rely on God, He gives you the strength to rise, endure, and keep moving forward. Anyone can trust God when things happen quickly. But when nothing is moving, and you still choose to believe, that's faith being tested.
2. Things start falling apart instead of coming together. This one is hard to accept, because when you're following God, you expect things to start working out. But sometimes the opposite happens. Doors close, plans fail. Things you thought were from God fall apart, and you start questioning everything. But what if what's falling apart is actually God clearing the path? Proverbs 16:9 says, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." This verse reminds us that we can make our own plans, but ultimately, God is the one who directs our steps. Our vision is limited, but His guidance is perfect. You can plan your life, but God determines the path. Trust His direction over your own. Sometimes God allows things to break down so He can build something better. But your faith is tested in that moment. Will you trust Him even when your plans don't work out? Or will you only trust Him when life goes your way? Because real faith says, "God, even if this doesn't make sense, I still trust you."
3. You feel spiritually dry or distant. This is one of the most confusing tests, because you're praying, but it feels like heaven is silent. You're seeking God, but you don't feel His presence the same way. And it makes you wonder, did I do something wrong? But spiritual dryness doesn't always mean distance from God. Sometimes it's a test of mature faith. Our lives as believers are guided by faith, not by what we can physically see or fully understand. 2 Corinthians 5:7 says, "For we live by faith, not by sight." And that includes feelings. Because if you only trust God when you feel Him, then your faith is built on emotion, not truth. But when you keep praying, keep believing, keep showing up, even when you feel nothing, that's deeper faith. That's faith being refined. Trust God beyond what you see. Faith means moving forward even when the path isn't clear. 4. You're tempted to go back to old habits. Another clear sign God is testing your faith is when you feel pulled back to your old life. Old habits, old mindsets,
old patterns you thought you already left behind. It's like the moment you decide to grow, the temptation suddenly gets stronger. And that can be confusing, because you think, why is this happening now? I thought I was past this. But this is what you need to understand. Growth doesn't remove temptation. It exposes it. Because God is not just changing your situation, He's transforming your character. And transformation gets tested. The habits you used to rely on, whether it's control, anger, distraction, unhealthy relationships, or escaping through comfort, they start calling you back. Not because you're weak, but because you're changing. And every change creates resistance. 1 Corinthians 10:13 says, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear." That means this moment, this struggle, it's not meant to destroy you. It's meant to reveal something. Will you go back, or will you move forward? Because every temptation is a crossroad.
One path leads to your past, the other leads to your growth. And here's the deeper truth. The enemy doesn't need new strategies if your old habits still work. That's why the pull feels so strong. Because if he can get you to return to what God already delivered you from, he doesn't have to stop your future. You'll delay it yourself. But this is where your faith becomes real. Not in what you say, but in what you choose. Galatians 5:1 says, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." Stand firm, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it feels easier to go back, even when no one else sees the struggle. Because every time you resist what's pulling you backward, you're stepping deeper into who God is calling you to become. And here's the encouragement you need. The fact that you're being tempted doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're being tested. And passing this test is what prepares you for the next level of your faith. 5. You're being asked to trust God without full understanding. This might be the biggest test of all, when God asks you to trust Him without explaining everything. No clear answer, no detailed plan, no step-by-step direction. Just trust. And that's uncomfortable, because we want clarity before commitment. But God often requires commitment before clarity. Trust God completely, not just when things are clear, but especially when they're not. Instead of depending only on your own logic, you're invited to rely on God's wisdom and guidance. Proverbs 3:5 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding." That means you won't always understand, and that's the point. Because faith isn't about having all the answers, it's about trusting the one who does. If you see yourself in these signs right now, if you're waiting, if things are falling apart, if you feel distant, if you're being tempted, if you don't understand what God is doing, don't panic. You're not being abandoned. You're being developed. Because God doesn't test your faith to break you. He tests your faith to build you, to strengthen you, to prepare you, to grow you into who you're meant to become. So don't quit in the middle of the test, because what feels like a breaking point might actually be a turning point. Stay faithful, stay patient, and trust that God is working even when you can't see it.